Some of these videos are going to be recorded a little bit out of order. So if you see my wardrobe change and it goes back to an earlier version of me without a tie on and so on, you'll know why. It's just that that video was recorded earlier and just we didn't have the ability to put it up. With your forbearance on some of these minor issues, I am re-recording a video that I did because the audio was all messed up on it when it first came out. And so I want you to know about the plans, what we're doing, and what the vlog is all about. And so I'm kind of just reiterating some of that. I want to talk to you about the reason behind what we're doing and the whole concept of the artistic world of Jael, which has been, that refers to me. I'm Jael. Many of the things that we have done and that we are continuing to do, we are looking for what is God saying to do in terms of promotion and in terms of content that we need to be creating for you, because we want to create things of value to you without regards to what mammon will do. So we ignore a lot of gurus, people who come on and tell us how to make millions of dollars and how to make, hundreds of thousands of dollars and how to make $10 in 30 seconds and all this kind of stuff. And the reason we ignore that is not because we don't believe some of that could be true. We believe some of it could be true, but we know that the Bible says that after all these things, the Gentiles seek, and you should not be concerned so much about that. So we're not concerned about that. We're not looking at that as a goal. But what we are doing is trying to be obedient to what God is asking us to do. And what that means is to be considerate of you, to be thinking about what you need and trying to do our very best to meet those needs with the content that we create. So let's look at that. God's given me a gift and then said to me, go be creative. I made you in my image and I am a creator and you should be too. And so we've done that. I started off as a Jesus music kind of pioneer, especially in Canada. There weren't very many of us out there and when I got going. And so early 70s and through many years in that bracket, we put out things and played places just because we wanted to preach the gospel. We really wanted to reach people with the good news of Jesus Christ and what he has done for us. And so our testimony was important, and our music was perhaps sometimes even naively evangelistic. We thought things that were not very well developed, and we sang whenever possible. But we tried to lift up the name of Christ, and that was the purpose of it. It wasn't to be a contemporary Christian musician. There wasn't such a category, as a matter of fact, when we got going. That sort of emerged later, and we never really got part of that. We never, I felt very called away from that at some time, and I guess I kind of owe you an explanation for that. Here's what happened to me. I would go play places, and I would rock and roll with my band, and I would play acoustically. When I played acoustically, I was accepted in the church, and even people felt challenged and motivated and were excited about what I did. When I played with a band, I found that the Christian youth of the church would use me as an excuse to rebel against their parents and not follow what they wanted, rather to say, I can rock and roll with the best of them. And instead of actually listening to my music, they would put it aside after using it as an excuse and listen to AC/DC or something else. I didn't like that. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to be a person leading kids to rebel against their parents. That's ungodly. I also didn't want to be in a church and play music that didn't lead people in worship, because I felt that the church's role was to be a place where people could come and worship God and draw close to him. And if my music was a stumbling block, I said, I'll never play there again. So at some point, I left the contemporary Christian music idea behind and realized that with my creative gift, I needed to play the stuff that I was given. And so I became a parable singer. And the parable singer idea was that I would take my Christian worldview and write songs that were not religious, but would have the principles of God at their heart, that would be true and be honest and deal with issues that maybe the church didn't want to touch. But I could, through my rock and roll music, and make it happen. So that was the early days. And that's kind of where I went. And so some people claimed, of course, that I was falling away from the faith because I was no longer doing Christian music. And I just said, Jesus never died for one of my songs. Sorry, but he died for people. And my songs are, at very best, bad commentary on the world that exists. And perhaps some people will get value of it, perhaps they won't. But the real truth was, what I wanted to do was engage people in conversation. I wanted people to come up to me after a concert and say, what did you mean by that? And I would usually turn that back on the head and say, what do you think I meant by that? Because their contribution was a valuable mirror on what I was doing. And then, of course, we could get into a discussion on what I actually meant. But that's an aside. At any rate, I am going to actually have to break this into 2 videos, because I think what I've done in giving you that background is probably enough for one. And we're going to go into what we're planning and how we're doing it and what the artistic world of Jael has for the future in another video. Love you. We'll talk to you later.